In this video I'll be talking about the computer room booking system, which has been requested by teachers for my computer science project. I've used Kinter to display the GUI for the Python, and I've used SQLite 3 to set up the databases as well. I've also imported other modules such as Kinter.message to display little pop-up boxes to provide information, show errors, or maybe a choice when a button is clicked, for example. And I've also imported datetime and time delta from the module datetime, which can allow me to access dates from within the Python module. I have set up two databases, one called Profile Database and one called Priority Database, which both handle different data within the computer room booking system. Profile Database is pretty self-explanatory and contains the profiles of each of the users within the booking system. However, it also does contains the bookings that each teacher makes, no matter regardless, it's just in general, and the timetable that will be displayed at the end of the program when all the priority is calculated. And the priority database contains all the descriptions, the subjects, and the pupil years of the classes with their given fixed priority. Now we are at login page, we can finally present the first GUI to the user when we run the code. And when we do so, we get this output. And when we run through the code, we can see that we inherit frame, which is actually a part of Tkinter. And Tkinter, and when we instantiate the variable self and master, we inherit everything from frame and put it into master. And this allows us to do stuff at .geometry and .title. In this case, I've created size 350 by 350 and put login page in there. And I've also created buttons, which each have a different purpose for the login page. Now, we define the buttons with self, and we put a text on there. So I put add login view timetable, and this obviously just, puts the text on the button. But it wouldn't actually do anything without this command function here. And Lambda is a special case. Lambda actually creates a function within the same line. So Lambda, this command is a function, and when we press the on click, it will actually run this function which switches frame to a new page, which has the feature behind add login. We can also use stuff like .grid to arrange the button in a certain place that we want. I could put it row 0, column 0, and give it a little space on both Y and X axis to stop overlapping between the buttons and other widgets. And I've also done this for login, view table, and the exit. Now I'm actually going to execute one of the functions within the login page, and this is going to be login. In this case, I'll simply type in the username and the password of a user, and it will check if the username and password is correct and run to the next page. So this time I'm just going to type in Jordan. And I click login, and I get a message box here saying welcome Jordan. And this message box is a way of just communicating back to the user, telling if a program has executed all the right stuff or all the wrong stuff. This will work when we do other functions as well, such as add booking, and we add the booking in, and it will tell us that we actually have made the booking, otherwise it would seem a bit anonymous if it just went back to the page, back to the booking page, and nothing really happened. So let's create a booking for John. In the way the GUI is set up is that all you have to do is select a date that from the next week. In this case I'm just using this week as an example, but I would click on this button and it would select the date for me, notifying me that I had, and then I'd select the period, a year or the year of the class, and this is just a generic of what, I put in some values of what they might be doing in the lesson, like control assessment, test, research, maybe even reward. Because it's a year 13 class, I think it'd be something more like primary, secondary sources, for instance. And here I'd add the booking, and then it says my booking has been updated, which is good. And then it returns back to the booking page. And now when we check on the bookings table, we can see that the booking ID, the login ID, the date, and all the other stuff has been entered into the database. Next, I'm going to test if this also works for the add login. So, I want to add a login. I'm going to call it John, and we'll do Smith for the password. If I can spell. And the subject he is going to teach, it has to be equal to one that's already in the program. Therefore, something along the lines of law, maths, computing, or English. We'll just sign him up for English. And John was added, and returns back to the page. And this can be shown in teacher when we now have a new row called John Smith English, and he's got no bookings at the moment. Next, I'm going to test if this also works for the add login. So, I want to add a login. I'm going to call it John, and we'll do Smith for the password. If I can spell. And the subject he is going to teach, it has to be equal to one that's already in the program. Therefore, something along the lines of law, maths, computing, or English. We'll just sign him up for English. And John was added, and returns back to the page. And this can be shown in teacher when we now have a new row called John Smith English, and he's got no bookings at the moment. Next, we're going to test this for the view timetable, and there is only one entry at the moment in the timetable. So when we view timetable, you will see that it sifts out all through every single booking, everything. And it finds where the dates equal and the periods equal, and it puts them in a 2D list for it. And in this case, we print on the actual screen period 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., and the dates of the week where the bookings are, and simply prints them in the correct location. Of course, when I click the exit button, or I click OK, the program will end. Now I'm back in the booking page, and we've already seen the add booking in place, but now we can actually change the booking if necessary. So now we can select our booking that we want changed, and we enter in all the values again. So we clicked on this date here, it was a period 6, it was a year 13 class, but instead of looking for primary sources, I might be doing in-depth research on depth studies. And this change can be made. Your booking has been changed, so it shows again, and it goes back to the booking page. And then when we go to remove booking, you can actually see that the description has changed. And when we have this enter booking here, we click on the selected booking, and then when we want to click confirm, it hits us with a choice notification. And it says, are you sure you want to delete this booking? And if we say yes, it will return back to the page. And then we go to view the bookings, we can see that we have nothing here. And in view bookings, it's simply just the column names, it's followed by all the values that will be in there, and they're printed as a label with a helpful reminder in the form of a text box that I decided to throw in. So if we add another booking in, we can put the 29th, the first period, will be year 9 class, and this will be a write-up for a lesson experiment, and add the booking. No notification. And when we want to add another booking, for example, we could do the 30th, period 5, a year 12 class, research, not research, maybe students are doing control assessment work, we add that booking as well. Okay. And when we go to view them, you can see perfectly there they're all on a different row and a different grid. This is using the grid function in the view of the class. So just get to that real quick. So, and yeah, as we can see here, you would do self.grid, self.config. Here I'm going to be testing the log off button. And this entails that the number of bookings of the user will change whether they are logged in or logged off on their computer, or on their account, sorry. And when you add a booking, it will get updated to the bookings table. And then when you want to log off and go back to the login page, you have to actually check that the user has now a number of bookings of 2 when it was 1. And this is because we do a later check for the limitations of how many bookings a user can do. And this is fulfilled when an error check is put in saying that they cannot access any more bookings when their number of bookings is equal to 2.